In the previous video in the playlist link below the like button, we have gone over this right here. And what this is creating a web application to pass client data. So we would have like a web server, we pass in some client data, that would be like a name, we store it in here, and then we're just going to return it inside of our course.jsp. So it's going to return it with our CNAME being inside of it. And we're not going to be touching the course.jsp file for this, we're going to be piggybacking off of this. We're just going to be changing it a little bit. So in here we're going to demonstrate the model view and object example. This is based off a 4-hour video that's not mine, but it's in the description below the like button, and it goes over more in depth about this and extra for this material. This is just my take on it. So what we're doing is we're going to go over the model view and object example. So what if we want to run the create a web application to pass client data? And this again was a previous video. So what if we want to do that, but without relying on getting the sessions and parameters? Well, we can do this by a few things. The first thing that we're going to do is take this out. So we don't want to do the HTTP serverlet request. We are going to take this out, and instead, we are going to pass in our thing right here. So let's say we have our string, and we're going to use the CNAME right here. We're going to put this inside of here. Now, we are going to store it in this particular name straight away. We don't need to get the parameter right here. So what do we need to do for the rest of this? Well, inside of here, we are also going to still need our HTTP. So we're going to do HTTP session, and then we'll just do like name like this. And this name could be anything. We'll just call it like course name. So this is going to be our HTTP section or session, and then we have a string name. And so that means we can get rid of these, or at least just comment them out. We can also take out this sysout.println, and then we can take this out as well. So we're not going to be using any of those. And then we could just change our sesh, because you see this HTTP session is down inside of here, to course name, or we can just keep it as sesh, modifying it in here like this. And this is going to still return our course.jsp. So if we execute this, it is going to run our program just like this, and now we can pull over our window right here, and we can refresh it, and we can see that actually nothing gets passed in. And it looks like the reason for that is because we have CNAMEs right here. So if we change it to CNAME, we get this right here. But if we change it to CNAMEs, we are not going to get any output right here. And that's because it's storing it in CNAMEs, not CNAME. Well, how can we fix this? Let's say we have another parameter. Well, if we're going to keep it as CNAMEs, what we could do is add a at request and then a PARAM, so request param. It's like short for parameter. And then inside of here, we're going to pass in what we want. So like CNAMEs. And then we can hover over this and import this. So now if we terminate this and rerun it, we can come back here. All we're going to have to do is refresh this, and this should print out this right here for CNAMEs. So it's going to get CNAMEs instead of this string CNAME right here, and it's going to print that out there. Well, what happens if we want to do this completely without the HTTP session? And we want to do this using the model and view. And so we can replace this string, because we're not going to use it, with a model and view. This is going to be something that we have to import, so we can hover over and import right here. We can keep our request parameters, CNAMEs, we can keep our string name right here, but remember we don't want this HTTP session, so we're going to take it out. It's just not needed. And so that means we can comment this out as well. So now inside of here, what we're going to want to do is have our model and view. We'll just call it MV, and this is set equal to new model and view. And then we just have these parentheses right here. So we're making like a new instance of this right here. And now we want to add an object into it. And our object is going to be what we pass in our URL, which is going to be like the names right here. After this equal sign, we're passing this in. So you have mv.add, and then we're going to add the object. Inside of here, we want to have our parameter that we're requesting. So notice how we have this CNAMEs. We can also have our CNAME. So let's just do CNAME for this one. That's for the spring, and then we also have to have the actual name for it. So it's like CNAME right here. Come outside. We're gonna do m.set mv dot set view name. That way we can see it, come down a little bit, set view name, and we want this to be our actual file because we're going to be returning this. So we'll have inside of here our course.jsp, we paste it in here, and then for our return, we're just going to be returning our MV object. So we're returning it like this. We can reload this, and if we bring this back here, it's rerunning, and then if we refresh this page, we see that we get the Brandon here. And that is the same way we would do this, just with our model and